Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Ski Beatz, and right now I'm chilling with Sweetwater. And if you don't know who I am, music producer, educator, sound designer. Let's get into it. I started off as a break dancer. That was my first intro into this whole hip hop culture. I went to the Fresh Fest. I saw the dynamic rockers dancing. I saw them spinning on their heads, spinning on their backs, and I was like, yo, what is this? What are they doing? Saw Beat Street and a bunch of other movies, Wild Style. And I just fell in love with the culture. I saw the graffiti, I saw the DJing, the rapping, the whole thing. And I had a chance to touch everything. You know, I DJ'd a little bit. Obviously, I was the MC, got into the whole production thing. It's been fun, still fun. I'm from North Carolina. So imagine being from somewhere like a small country town like North Carolina, and you watching this movie Wild Style that's based in New York City in the Bronx, and you seeing all of this, you know, incredible art taking place, and you down here in the country. So when we saw that movie, it changed the whole scene in North Carolina. Like, it went from being like, you know, I don't want to say boring, but it went from being, you know, to like, yo, you know, now we got skating rings opening up, all these different clubs, everybody's dressing different. It was amazing, bro. It was a whole world created by the energy from New York City, the movie Wild Style. While I was living in NC, I was in this group called the Busy Boys. And we did this record that was on this label we was on at the time called Payroll Records. And the record was called Dropping It. And the record actually made noise in New York City. And we was unaware, like Mr. Magic, Red Alert, everybody was playing the record. And we wasn't really aware of what was going on because obviously we was in NC. And one day, the Juice Crew, they was performing at one of the colleges in Greensboro. And Craig G from the Juice Crew was like, yo, who was the Busy Boys? We heard, you know, they live in this town. They got a record that's being played in New York and we want to meet them. So somebody called me on the house phone, and luckily I was home, and A&T is like a hop, skip, and a jump from my mom's crib. So I went to A&T, met Craig G. You guys need to come to New York. They want to interview you, boom, boom. Came to New York, first time I ever came. Was on the radio with Red Alert, was on the radio with Mr. Magic, and that's how I started. That's how I got linked into the whole New York thing. And when they saw, you know, we was young kids from North Carolina, they just showed us love. It showed us love because we was loving hip hop so much and we was doing it the correct way. You know what I mean? It wasn't watered down. It was like true to the essence of it. We wasn't trying to be commercial. We was just raw with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, you could feel the love and the energy that we was putting into it. It wasn't like, you know, we was trying to, you know how, you know, back in the 80s, there was certain groups that was kind of, you know, corny with it. But we wasn't on it. We was really true to the essence of it. Needless to say, I moved to New York. When I moved, the Busy Boys, we disbanded, you know, everybody went their own separate ways. So when I moved to New York, I got in touch with Clark Kent because I knew Clark Kent from DJing with Dana Dane. We used to open up shows with him back at NC. He was like, hey, if you're ever in New York, look me up. So I looked him up. And when I looked him up, I had a whole demo tape that I recorded, Original Flavor, with my first partner, Suave Lover. So I went to Clark's office, gave him the tape, left it at that. I think like a week later, 2 weeks later, Clark called me and was like, yo, Atlantic Records want to sign you. So boom, I go to Atlantic. When I go to the office, Dame Dash is there, Darian Dash, Clark Kent. He's like, yo, this is my man Dame Dash, this is Darian, they love your music, they want to manage you. I'm like, all right, let's go, you know? And just linked up with Dame that day. And that's how the whole Original Flavor thing just started like that. And after that, you know, we hit the studio. Man, we was in what, Firehouse Records? No, Firehouse Studios in Brooklyn. Did most of the album there. Well, what was our first single back then? When I Make It. Yeah, we dropped When I Make It. And after that, bruh, you know, Clark kind of figured that I could make beats. Because in North Carolina, I had a producer because I was rapping, right? I was the MC, so I had a producer, but the producer taught me how to make beats. And me, I'm thinking that all MCs should know how to make beats. That was like part of being an MC. So when I moved to New York, obviously when we did Old Flavor, I was making all the beats. And Clark was like, hey bro, you making these beats, you know you're a producer. And I didn't even know what a producer was, which is crazy. And he was like, yo, give me some beats. So I gave him some beats. Next thing you know, I was getting placements, you know? Wow. Sampling my drums into the SP, taking like the musical elements and putting them in the 950 because, you know, the SP only had 10 seconds of sampling time. So why waste my time, you know, with samples that's only, you know, that's not gonna sound as high quality as the 950, plus the 950 gave me like a minute, you know, of sampling time. Do my sequence on the MPC, on the SP1200, get the drums right. make sure the sample's chopped up. Then you would bring the MIDI from the 950 to the top of the SP. Now you got the sample that's in the 950 on the SP 1200 pads, and you throw it into the SP sequence. It's funny because I wasn't really like a hardcore digger. Like I wasn't like a Lord Finesse or a Q-Tip, you know, I wasn't like, or a large Professor. I wasn't really like looking for certain things. I would just grab some old dusty records from my friend's house, find some cool stuff, chop it up, you know what I'm saying? But I gotta say this, I did get really inspired digging into jazz when I heard Tribe Called Quest's first album. I had no idea what jazz music was because I was listening to like James Brown, Motown, soul, you know what I'm saying? When I heard Tribe Called Quest, I'm like, yo, what is this what they're sampling? And, you know, somebody said, yo, they doing jazz. So I went to the crates, started listening to jazz records, and that's how you got the Fill-In-Its and the Dead Presidents, you know, because that's all jazz-based hip-hop. And after that, I definitely fell in love with just sampling jazz, for sure. So I definitely go for 70s fusion jazz. I definitely go for, not so much anymore, but a lot of soul music. Right now I'm looking for like dope electronic, experimental 1970s, Buchla sounding type of stuff, you know what I mean? Clark brought Jay to one of our video shoots, Original Flavor, and he wanted Dame to meet Jay, and because he wanted Dame to manage Jay, and we all met at the same time. We heard him rap, he was incredible. He automatically got down with us, you know what I mean? And so what Dame did, since Original Flavor had the deal, he paired us up with Jay. Like, he said, yo, you need to do a song with Jay. And I'm like, well, you know, we got Can I Get Open? He can get on that. He got on that. And then when Atlantic put us out on our promotional tour, Jay was with us. So Dame, you know, kept Jay, you know, with us all the time. That's the first song I did with him. And obviously Jay was on the Original Flavor album a couple of times. And then after that, Jay started working on his own stuff. Not Reasonable Doubt, just, you know, random songs. And I think the first song I did with him was In My Lifetime. That's the first song I ever did with Jay. I remember being at, remember How Can I Be Down? I was at one of those, yeah, I think it was that one. And I think Nas' album had just came out. And all I heard in the cars playing at the time was, Whose World Is This? And I'm like, yo, this song is so dope. This is an amazing song. So I went home and I was trying to recapture that vibe. So I was digging through the crates until I, you know, caught that type of energy. I heard the Lonnie Liston record. I'm like, yeah, this is it. Looped it up, added the drums. And I said, look, hold on. Grab Nas just to hear his voice on top, to see what it sound like. I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is the vibe. So I played it for, Mace had the beat first. Mace rapped to that beat first. Mace. But, you know, it didn't fit Mace, obviously. So I played it for Jay. Jay heard it. He was like, yeah, this is dope. Then he heard the Nas hook. And I said, don't worry about that. I'm taking that out. He said, nah, I keep that. That's dope. So we kept it, and that's how Dead Presidents came to be. When I met Camp Lo, man, well, I met Geechee first, because I was living on the same block in the Bronx with him. And he was a little kid, like 16. He used to come ask me, bug me, yo, I'm a rapper, man. I want to rap, boom, boom, boom. I know you in Original Flavor. Yo, I'm a rapper, man. So he spit a verse. I liked his voice, but his raps was kind of, at the time, took him to Clark Kent's house. We recorded a song just to, you know, teach him how to structure songs. Then I lost contact with him for like a year. Then he came back, and he had Chiba with him. He said, yo, this is my partner. This is Sonny Chiba. We got a group. It's called CeeLo. Check us out. So he played a song, and I'm like, yo, they sound dope together. Like, you know, Cheese, that voice, and Sway, his little boom, boom. And then I was noticing the slang and the lingo. And I'm like, yo, these cats are like really on some 1970s, you know, Superfly type of energy. I said, first, you know, you guys need to change the name, because CeeLo, that's like a what? That's a New York, you know, dice game. Nobody really in other parts of the world ain't gonna understand that. So they changed it to Camp Lo. And then we locked in, man. We started, you know, watching the blaxploitation flicks and just started putting this music together. And it came out dope, you know, and it just came out different. And Camp Lo, man, that's like this, you know, if you ever, you know, get the opportunity to produce a group that just makes you, you know, think outside the box, man, it's beautiful, you know? I forget, it's like everybody back then, I probably touched a record or two with them, definitely. AZ, Fat Joe, Nas, Lil Kim, Foxy Brown, God, Big Pun. What I did was I consolidated the SP and the 950, and I got an MPC 3000, because that kind of did everything that I needed it to do. Then I got, more equipment in the home studio from the ADATs and things like that. And I started, having time to do pre-production at the crib, which was super useful because, back then you was paying like $200, $300, $400 an hour in the studio. So you had to make sure you came into the studio prepared. So that definitely was added to my studio setup. And I, went through a couple of little gear changes, for microphones and keyboards and things like that. But I always, my main thing was always some pads. I needed some pads. 99, 2000, I got hip to Pro Tools, and that definitely changed everything. That changed things for the good and for the bad, in my opinion. For the good, obviously, I can record at home. I don't have to spend, hundreds of dollars on tracking in the studio. I can track everything in the crib and just mix it in the studio, which saved us a gang of money. But bad for a producer that's working and I'm trying to, submit tracks. Because now the artists, they can take your track and they can sit on it for a long time. So producers wasn't getting paid their upfront money as fast, Artists would take like a year and say, I think I'm gonna use that. You know what I mean? And then you have to wait like forever to get your first half, bro. So it kind of stifled us in that sense. For a minute, I went back to North Carolina, then came back to New York. And when I, got back here, I reached out to Dame, asked him what he had going on. He said, oh, yo, we're doing this whole thing called the Black Rock. You need to come to the studio, check us out. So I went to the studio, and Pharoah Monch was there, and all these rock and roll guys, and I think somebody from Wu-Tang was there, and they was like jamming, you know what I mean? And I'm listening to the guys, the verses, and I'm listening to the music. I'm like, yo, this is kind of dope. He's like, yeah, you need to come fuck with me, man. I'm telling you, come fuck with me. I'm like, all right. So I went to his office in Tribeca, and he told me the plan. He said, yo, I want to do a big ass, music, art complex type of thing. I want you to be the producer. I'm like, all right, let's go. So I just literally moved in that building. I was staying in this little room that had the studio, and every day, since Dame knew everybody, people would just come in. Like Mos Def just walked in, and he was like, Ski's down there making beats, right? You need to go check him out. So Mos Def walked downstairs, heard me making Taxi. What's that? And that's a beat I'm just working on. Next thing you know, he sits down, he started writing. Like the video of Taxi of him, that was that day. You know what I'm saying? Spit it there, watching Mos Def write the song. You know what I mean? And they shot the video and put it out the same night we did it. But it was like that every day. People would come in and I would just make beats and they would rap. From Currency to Stolly to J Electronica to the Cool Kids to Jean Grey to everybody that was just walking in, and we was just making music nonstop every day. And then the same day the video go up. It was like he was just doing constant content. He told me, he said, look, dog, we're gonna have enough content to last to like what? 2020, get ready. We was doing it every day, bro. Every day. Factory. Pump. Me, think about it. I did a Locksmith album, 2 Pilot Talks, Tabby Bonet, Murs, all like in less than a year. Albums, putting it out, just boom, boom, going. But it don't seem like it when you're in that moment and everybody's coming in, you meeting all these new people and you like laughing and joking, making beats. You're like, yo, it's just energy. It's energy. And then you look back, you're like, yo, you know what I'm saying? We did all that. It's crazy. But when you're in that moment, you ain't even thinking about getting tired or thinking about how to, keep your creativity. You just in that moment. You just going. And their energy is just feeding you. And you want to show them that you can, watch this. You showing off, they showing off. Next day, same thing. Yeah, Currency, man. I met him through Dame, obviously. He met me. He was like, yo, I've been wanting to work with you for years. And your shit is dope. And I had no idea who Spitter was. I'm like, well, I never heard your music. And he told me he was from New Orleans. Told me he was down with, Cash Money, Boom Boom. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to make, that type of music. But he's like, nah, man, I want you to do you. So, I kicked it with him. He told me the type of things he liked he liked Marvin Gaye and this type of music, boom, boom. And I saw that he liked to get high, boom, boom, boom. So we just kind of built the theme around that. I'm like, you know what? He needs that real smooth, laid back, that wave. And when we locked in, when we caught that energy, whatever that was, perfect. And, Spitter, man, good dude. While I'm making it, I'm arranging it. I'm doing the intro. I'm doing the breakdowns, I'm doing the choruses, I'm arranging the whole thing in my head, you know what I'm saying? And I always get an artist space. So, I know a lot of beat makers, when I listen to their beats, it's dope, but it's a lot of things going on. They don't know how to space it out for for the artist. And I think that's one of the major difference between, you know, being a beat maker and being a producer. Because making beats and is amazing. It's fun, you know what I'm saying? Just to hear, you know, all these different takes on different samples and takes on different ideas, you know, coming from these young kids, especially, you know, the guys that's in the Smack Pack challenges, they killing it right now, bro. Smack Pack, you know, that's a community that got built during the pandemic when everybody was indoors, you know. That was like an outlet. Started off as like a 10-second challenge. I had the SP1200, made a beat, put a post up. I said, yo, I haven't made a beat on the SP1200 in a minute. Only had 10 seconds of sampling time. It was liberating. I bet you guys couldn't do that. Next morning, I look at my DM. I got hundreds of 10-second challenge, 10-second challenge. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So I started posting everybody's, you know, videos up because I thought it was dope. Then the next thing you know, that turned into the Smack Pack. I had some, you know, files on my hard drive. I had a MPC sitting in the corner. I'm like, you know what if I gave them this pack, but then said, whoever make the dopest beat can get this MPC. And boom, that took off. And after that, we started throwing the MCs into the thing, into the packs. And, you know, that took a whole other thing itself. But it's dope, man, just to see all, you know, all the young producers, you know, jumping into challenges and just seeing the community grow and seeing everybody getting connected and seeing, you know, we got people like Soundtrack, you know what I'm saying? Nobody knew who he was for a second. I didn't know who he was personally. And now he's signed with, you know, Ninth Wonder, you feel me? Then we got Kelsey and we got Landscape. We got all these dope producers, man, that's just amazing. And I'm sure there's many more to come, you know? I love learning, you know? I love different things, different software just give you different inspiration, you know? And I don't like to get stuck in that one box. Serato Studio, amazing. I was sleeping on it for 1 second. My man DiBiase, big shout out to DiBiase. He was like, yo, Ski, I'm telling you, man, you need to use it, you need to use it. And I finally locked in with it, and I'm like, yo, this is amazing, you know? It's just, it's simple, it's super intuitive, but at the same time, it's like super professional. You can do a whole song from beginning to end, you can arrange, you can get super intricate with things, but a baby, literally a 10-year-old, 9-year-old baby can learn how to use this because it's really that simple. When you look at it, it's like common sense. Oh, you know? So salute to Serato. You did your thing with that one, definitely. And now you got the stems in there. If you're a sample-based producer like myself, the stems is like my best friend because being able to break down a record from the drums to the bass line to the vocals to the music, switch it around, take another record in the same key, maybe use a bass line from, like, let's say this James Brown record in the key of A minor, then throw it on top of this Lonnie Liston Smith that's in A minor, then take these drums from so-and-so, then take an A minor vocal from like a Margie Joseph, throw it on top. You done created a whole different thing, you know? It's like you create atmospheres with the Serato Studio. It's amazing, I love it. Jumped into that rabbit hole of the Euro rack, which is amazing, I love it. That definitely enhanced my sound design. It definitely enhances your mixing skills because all day you tweaking frequencies, you know what I mean? So it gets your ears sharp. That, playing the bass, you know what I'm saying? Got my man Diamond, he's been showing me keys, so getting deep into the musicianship side of it, getting deep into the sound design, but still keeping my roots with chopping and sampling. You know, I'm just trying to build it so when I have all these different skill sets, you know, being a producer, that's like, you know, a good thing to have. The best thing to have, because I didn't want to get, you know, just stuck being sampling, you know, just chopping samples, adding drums, finding a bass and putting out a beat. I want to be able to, you know, add more things creatively that I'm thinking of to the track without always reaching out saying, hey, can you come to the crib and do this? Or I can do it myself, you know what I mean? Why not? Right now, I'm really messing with the tip-top Buchla modules, killing it. I got a lot of Mod Bap modules. Big shout out to my man Corey. Mod Bap is dope. Make noise, you know. I always love to make noise stuff. I'm really in love with the Buchla right now. That's it. That's my thing. The tip-top Buchla is it. You know, the modular has a mind of its own. You plug a wire here, plug something there. You might have a certain destination where you want to go, but the modular take your idea and do something totally different with it. And when you capture that moment, I just sample it, lock it in place. I got that. Then I do it again. And I got all these different moments of dope things that happen on the modular. Then I build around that. The drums, the bass, you know what I'm saying? Maybe throw some samples into it. Start incorporating the 90s hip hop into that thing, and boom, you got Mod Bap. You got switched on back, you know what I mean? Do not limit yourself to just sampling records or sampling off YouTube. You can sample whatever. As long as you can get that source into your software or into your MPC or whatever, you good. I see cats just thinking about beats and it just being written right in front of them. You just think a beat, man, and it just happens, you know? What I really want to see is how far Serato is going to take this whole STEM thing, like the quality, you know what I'm saying? You think we're ever going to get to a point, say you got a record playing, right? And there's a violin, just a violin. You just want the violin. We can just take individual instruments out. I want the violin, I want the bells. I want that bass, I want the cello, I want the horn, now I want to move the voice. Imagine that, being able to take everything out piece by piece with crazy quality. Think about it. In 10 years, the STEM technology is going to be old, and there's going to be something even crazier than STEMs. I can't even imagine what that's going to be. But what's going to sound better than that in 10 years? And how are they going to flip STEMs to make it even crazier 10 years from now? Or flip whatever, you know? Because the SP 1200 was state of the art back then. Now it's, 2 seconds is nothing, and the quality is like whatever, you know what I mean? Sweetwater, man, it's dope, man. Customer service is amazing. Everything's always on time, plus I get candy.
You like the candy?
I like the candy, definitely. Sweetwater's on point. Hey, Sweetwaters, man, thank you for having me, man. Make sure y'all tune in with me. Ski Beatz, Smack Pack, Volume 14 coming up next. Follow me on IG.